10 days after we started dating, I said to you, you're going to be my wife. Because I knew you were going to be my wife. I believe that the key to a happy marriage and a long-lasting marriage is to constantly be working on themselves within that marriage.
I had no idea. Like, I'm looking today at people, they're 26, 27. Everyone feels so advanced. I was clueless. I was just like, you know.
You and I are just a couple of idiots who made it.
We're just like literally like hillbillies. Welcome back, guys, to And Not Alone, where curiosity and connection come first. You guys, this is the last episode of the year, which is kind of crazy and special. And I thought it would be the best time to bring back my favorite moments with my favorite person, my husband, Gary Lipovetsky. I gotta say, the past couple of episodes that we shot were very much experimental. That's the word. I was looking for that one. Experimental, because I kind of got to a point where I'm like, Gary, I think that we need to bring in some other stories so we can reflect on and learn about ourselves through that process. So I'm curious how if you guys liked it, should we continue doing it? If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check them out. But throughout the years, which I guess Not Alone has been around for about 2 years, whenever Gary would come on, we would dive deep into a lot of topics, from marriage and its challenges to our finance to our 18-year age gap and what that brings with it. There's a lot of things that were said that I think I learned a lot more about him through those conversations, and the same thing for him about me. There were a lot of comments that were very triggering for a lot of people, but this is all as an outcome of an honest conversation of two married people that just sit down and just spill the tea. So this episode is very much pulling all these really highlighted moments, lessons that we picked up, conversations that I think many other people are not having in such a public forum, and bring it back to you. Before we dive into the conversation, I wanted to say a huge thank you for just being supporters of this amazing project that is Not Alone. The ability to sit down and really dive into all the little kind of corners of our minds, if it's with my guests or with my husband, I find to be so fulfilling and so special. So I appreciate you. This podcast would not be around if it wasn't for you. So thank you so much. And I cannot wait to see what the new year will bring. I think a lot more experimentation. But I love you. I hope you have an amazing new year. And let's get into the best moments with Gary. What did your mom say when you told her that you are going to marry a 20-year-old?
Nothing.
Really?
Yeah, my mother, it's different. Listen, when I'm 38 I was 38 years old already.
That's true, a grown man.
There's not a conversation. If I would have come to her and said if I was 20 and say I'm marrying a girl and she's also 20, then I should probably say something about it, because I would still be her kind of kid, but I wasn't her child anymore.
It's funny because I think for me, when I told my mom about meeting you, I don't know if it's the culture, I guess, maybe like the Russian culture. It wasn't like a shock to her. Again, I always dated older. And I think for her that also, it wasn't like a negative per se. She just wanted, I guess, to know that it's like, is this a person that you love? Is this a person that, you can build a life with? Is this a person that's going to be there when you need him to?
And that's it.
That's why I think when I went on social media and stuff, and I started showing our lives, and when I started getting these like age gap questions or like, kind of people being shocked, I kind of didn't understand.
I think you're being really polite. People were rude about it.
People
Still are rude about it.
To me, it kind of, I didn't really understand, because I was like, yeah, he's older than me, but...
And?
But yeah, it wasn't anything like out of the ordinary.
I remember when, we started dating, and about 10 days after we started dating, I said to you, you're going to be my wife. Because I knew you were going to be my wife. I told you, it's not going to happen. I'm not asking yet, so you don't have to freak out. But that's where we're going, and that's what's going to go down. I think you didn't show it to me. I didn't sense in you that you were scared at all. But I think inside you may have been a little scared. And that's when you went to your mom. And you said to me, when I said that to you, you said, come and meet my mother. And if my mother approves of us dating, we're going to continue dating.
Yeah.
I said, no problem. We went to meet your mother. She looked at me. I think I had already met her briefly before, probably at like a Russian restaurant somewhere. So not socially. I think she was the manager or owner of the place, and I was at a party or something. She came outside. She goes, "Come with me outside for a smoke." And I said, "I don't smoke." She goes, "Just come with me outside." Right? She wanted to talk to me. So I went outside with her, and she looked at me. She goes, "What do you want?" Like not even polite, just like, "What do you want?" Like that was, it wasn't like small talk and stuff. We got outside, like she was walking ahead of me. I remember it so clearly. She stopped, she turned around, she looked at me, she goes, "What do you want?" Like, что хочешь? Что ты хочешь здесь? Что ты хочешь с моей дочкой? No, she says, какие у тебя намерения? Like, какие у тебя намерения? What are your intentions?
Right.
Man, I said to her, listen, I love her. I love your daughter. My intention is to marry her. This was like on the 11th day of us dating. I said, my intention is to marry her. And I said to your mom, I remember, I said, look, I know I'm a lot older than her. And to be honest with you, if I had a daughter and she came to me with a man that's as much older than her as I am older than Valeria.
Our age gap is 18 years, by the way.
17 and change.
Yeah.
It's like 17 and 3/4. Yeah.
Every month matters. 17 and quarters.
And I told your mom, I said, look, I understand, like as a
parent.
No, I wasn't a parent. I said, I can imagine, I wasn't a parent at the time. I can only imagine, like as a parent, you might have an issue with this, because although it may have seemed normal to your mom because she grew up in a very different culture where it was normalized, I didn't. I grew up in Canada. When I was 20, my girlfriend was 19, right? So I was concerned that I didn't want to offend her. So I said, look, I understand if it's a problem for you, but we can talk it out, and I'll help you get over that problem. Like I just told her, I'll help you get over it. Meaning it wasn't, I didn't say to her, if you're not okay with it, I'm going to go away. I said, if you're not okay with it, I'm going to help you get over this problem that you have of not being okay with it.
Right.
And then her response to me was, if she's okay dating you, continue dating and see what happens. I said, okay. She goes, okay. And that was that.
And then he took a shot of vodka.
But you know what? I do remember when I bought the ring, I came over to your mom's. You and I were together. I had the ring, and I had to like ask, in the absence of your father, I had to ask your mother for your hand in marriage. So I remember we always have important meetings outside, me and your mom. I said to her, can you come outside with me? I want to show you. I bought a new car. So I use that as an example. I just bought a new car, and I said, oh, I want to show you this new car that I bought. Meanwhile, it didn't matter, but she's like, okay. So I go outside. Oh, she looks at the car. Oh, nice. I go, listen, I'm going to propose to Valeria. She's like, I knew it. She goes, you got the ring? I go, yeah, I got the ring. And I showed her the ring. She's like, okay, good. She goes, when are you going to do it? I said, we're going to go to Israel. I'm going to propose to her. I said, don't you say anything. I said, don't you say anything. She goes, I'm not going to say anything. Did she say anything?
No, nothing.
No?
It was, it was awesome. I love the relationship you have with my mom, actually. That's one of the things that I think makes our family so special and unique. You guys are really close.
I have a good relationship with her. We have our ups and downs, but our ups and downs are mostly situational, meaning when I get stressed, I get a little more like distant, but it's something I'm working on because I do value her a lot. The reason your mother and I get along, and it's going to sound like, I don't know, it's going to sound almost like this is a forced statement or it's fake, but it's not, is because your mother is a very good and moral person. She really is. And the more I think about it, and the more I see examples of other people where that morality isn't there, I value your mom more and more, because your mother from day one, even though I'm an older guy, and even though I had already, kind of established myself financially when you and I met, I never felt from her that she ever tried to take advantage of me or that she was ever anything but respectful to me. So it's not a secret that your mom, she can go off sometimes. She sometimes can be abrasive. And I don't mean it in a bad way. And I'm certainly not bad-mouthing her, but she can be abrasive. And she often is. But she's but she is.
What's abrasive?
Listen, she comes from a place where you have to like fight for survival. She came from a very rough place, and I appreciate that. Very different from where I grew up. I was in Canada since the age of 3, so I didn't have the challenges she had. Yeah. She's rough. She can be rough. She's elegant, but she can be rough and tough and mean. And sometimes when she would talk to certain people in a certain way that I was like, I was shocked that she would, she never, in the 12 years, going on 13 years that she's known me, she's never said anything to me that would offend me, even though I know it's in her nature to offend people sometimes. But she's never done it with me. She always knew not to do it with me. Right. And it's out of her love for you. out of her love for me too. But mainly it's out of her love for you because she understands she can't talk to your husband that way. So I always respected her for kind of going against her nature and always being like, and to this day. So it's great. No, I love your mom.
Both of us, we get reached out by quite a few people that are in relationship with an age gap, asking for advice or asking for any kind of things to look out for. Do you ever answer those?
Yeah.
Like what do you say?
I try to answer as much as I can, time permitting, but what do I say? I think the first thing, and I think like kind of like as a foundational element to this, is that you absolutely have to not care what people think. So I think the stress that people have from being in a relationship that have like an age gap, but any relationship that's uncommon, it could be an interracial relationship, I don't know, different ethnicities, different, whatever it is.
Cultures,
culture, political opinions, whatever.
Religions,
There's a million different things. Regardless of what it is, the thing is that if you're happy in that relationship, that's your relationship. And a relationship really does come down to the two people that are in it. And so my advice to people when they talk about an age gap, and actually people have reached out to me also about like ethnicity differences and whatnot. And my first thing that I say to them as like a foundational element is the first thing you need to do is not care what other people think.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that in the relationship that you're in, and regardless of what the differences are, if you stop caring what other people think, you're gonna basically eliminate 95% of the problem that exists with that relationship.
Right.
So that's it. 95% of it is stopping to care what other people think. The fact that I don't care at all what other people think, but the fact that I'm older than you at all of those nasty comments on social media, they don't even faze me at all.
I think because we just have something so unique and so special. Like I really feel like this marriage was meant to be. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think we just look, the correct relationship transcends age and everything else.
Yeah.
However, from a practical perspective, there are limits.
Yeah.
Right? So when I hear about people with like a 35-year age difference, like that's just going to be problematic. I feel there are negatives even to our age difference. But I think the more you go, the more the problem is going to be.
I didn't take to consideration those realistic, practical things when we got married.
Because you were 20.
I was 20. Even now, I feel like you talk about mortality way more than I do. And you, especially since you turned 50.
That's one of those things that I can't explain to you that you're going to have to live and figure it out on your own. Because when you're going to be this age, you're also going to be thinking about it. And it's less mortality. You know what it is? It's mortality and succession. So I need to make sure that you and the kids are okay. So that's something that's on the front of my mind at all times. You also start, when you get older, you also start thinking like, you start taking inventory of your life. Like, what haven't I done yet? Or what should I have done? Or am I not successful enough at a certain, these certain aspects of life? And so, you don't have that yet.
Yeah.
And there's no way a 32-year-old would. I certainly didn't. The world was my oyster at 32. I was like, I didn't think of these things. But you have to start, not that you have to, you naturally will start thinking of these. And I think that's a big divide when we talk about the differences in our age. From a mentality perspective, that's, I think, one of the really big differences.
Yeah, I think the urgency that you have, I don't feel yet.
Especially in the business.
Yeah.
But with the business, it's not only because of my age, but it's also because of my experience in business all those years before I met you, that I understand the urgency of business. Because I had made a mistake of being comfortable in one of my early businesses that we were making, decent money with, we were making good money with, and I got comfortable and I should have been progressing. And I probably lost 8 years of hard, of progress because I got comfortable, because I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so I'm always rushing you because I know you're going to come to the same conclusion when you get to where I am.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to look back and say, I should have done more. That's why I push you so hard in business.
I know. I value that a lot, and I love it. And I love hearing your introspections about your own journey and your own experience. Some of them I may not understand because just from sheer experience and age.
And some of them you may not agree with, and that's fine.
Yeah, and some I may not agree with. I agree. But I think it gives me such a different perspective on life. My growth in certain areas, the one that I decide to accelerate my growth in are obviously like those areas benefiting from that a lot.
When you and I got married, it's from the day we met, and I decided you're going to be my wife, it never crossed my mind what you would do professionally. It didn't cross my mind. I never thought about it. You know what I mean? So to me, it's just like, I always thought as a man and as a traditional man, I'm going to work and you're going to do, I didn't think I'm going to work and you're going to stay at home. I thought I'm going to work and you're going to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
That was my intention, to give you that life from day one. So to me, the fact that this happened and I saw it, I spent some time kind of on my own, and I thought, okay, like now she's going to have to work. Like, am I okay with her working? But then I thought, I was like looking around and I saw everything that was going on in social media. And I thought, if she's going to do something, this is the thing to do, because not only is this like, I think, going to be a big hit financially, but this is cool. Like, this is cool and fun and interesting. And I imagine this life for you where you're a huge celebrity. I'm glad you don't cringe when I say that anymore. So that's progress. I envision that you're going to be this huge celebrity, super influential, helping millions of people. And I'm like, this is it. This is what Valeria was meant to do. And oddly enough, this is what I was meant to do. I was meant to be the support and the catalyst to get it done. Because it's funny, because then I realized my purpose when I saw how talented you were at the time, and still are, obviously. And I was like, this is my purpose. And I had met Kris Jenner about maybe a year and a half prior to that. So I had met her for some other business dealings, and I was actually in her home twice. And I met with her, and I remember it so vividly. Like, we were in her, we were in the kind of main area of her house, and then we went to her office. And in her office, I was sitting there and her phone kept ringing. She's this whole momager thing. And I saw the photos on the walls. It wasn't photos, it was framed magazine covers of all of her children. So Kim was there, and Chloe, and all of them. North ran in. That was cool. When North ran in, I was like, oh my God, it's like, I didn't think it's North, it's Kanye's daughter. But anyways, that's a different story. But the point is that in meeting with Kris, I saw this business and I was fascinated by it. I was fascinated. And you weren't even doing any social media at that time. But then fast forward, maybe you were, but
no, I think I was already. Yeah.
I didn't pay. It wasn't in my scope of vision. Yeah. And then, whatever it was, like a year later, this happened. And I had that flashback to my time with Kris. And I actually spent some time with Kim at Chloe's house. And we talked, and I just kind of felt, even though it was brief, but I kind of felt the infrastructure, and I felt the business side of it, And so when you started making content, that was the genesis of like, okay, this is what she's going to do. This is what Valeria is going to do. This is what she was born to do. And I got very aggressive in terms of like, we have to push this through. We have to push this through. And I was also in between businesses. I had a business that folded, that was shut down right before that. And I was like, it's perfect. This is fate. Yeah. This was meant to happen. Yeah. Because I had, in that business that shut down, I had gained a lot of knowledge about media in general, and like the data behind media and all the KPIs that drive it. And then you did this, and I remembered Kris and Kim, and I was just like, everything just came together. And I remember I said to you, Valeria, you are going to be the Oprah of your generation. You're going to be a huge star. We're going to push this thing through. This is while we're sitting in like a suburb of Toronto, living this suburban life with little kids. And I was just like, no, that's it. You're a star. You're going to be the biggest star ever.
You truly are the visionary between us, that's for sure.
You thought I was crazy.
Honestly, I still think you're crazy at times, but I think that's what works in our dynamic.
When you get stopped by followers, when we're in like a public place, like just at the airport, it was happening. I was playing it cool. I was like sitting there eating my sandwich, and this girl ran up to you. She's like, "My God, Valeria, I love you so much." To me, that's a celebration. To me, that's a big win for me when I can see the emotion in real life versus just like a comment, like in the comments. When I see emotion in real life, how people react to you, that's a celebration to me.
I mean, I remember specifically when we were in Dubai and we were at that party.
Oh, I didn't think you remember that. You were so embarrassed.
No, you were literally crying.
Yeah. Yeah, because of the reaction the reaction from those people. Yeah,
we were at this party. It was an after party. We were walking through, and this sweet woman, stops me, and she Honestly, she said the nicest things.
She stopped us. She was talking to both of us.
Right. She was talking to both of us. And she said the nicest things. And all I see in the corner of my eye is Gary standing there. And his eyes are getting all like welled up with tears. You're literally about to cry.
Yeah. Yeah, because it means that
You're
much
so
to me. I'll
cute.
cry now too. Because it means that much to me.
We
It
love a
does.
man that cries.
Yeah, no, it means a lot to me. And to see the reaction that people have from the effort that you, and to a smaller degree me, put into this, it's a satisfaction I've never felt before with strictly financial gain.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just incredible.
It's very special. Just off the bat, why do you think men cheat?
I think it depends on the scenario of the relationship. So there's one reason to cheat when you're younger and you have a girlfriend and you're not planning to get married and you have like a relationship. I mean, it's still cheating if it's a girlfriend, right? And there's cheating when the relationship progresses. There's cheating when you're about to get married, not yet married. There's cheating early in the marriage. There's cheating later in the marriage.
Wait, so those are different cases?
There's varying reasons that men will cheat.
Yeah.
Depending on what the scenario is. There's a common underlying theme through all of it, which is sexual urge, because men are pretty much animals, but there are varying layers of complexity depending on the scenario and the stage of the relationship.
Okay, so take me through it. So let's talk about a scenario with a girlfriend. So you have a girlfriend.
How old is the guy?
In their late, in their 20s, let's say.
Yeah, we just don't care.
Why you say we?
We as men, we just don't care.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't care.
Okay, so what would a girl do in that situation? You're in your 20s and you find out that your boyfriend cheated on you.
Probably date an older guy.
Okay, interesting. So you would say that anybody in their 20s...
Any man, say men. What are you saying?
Men. Okay, yeah.
Any man in their 20s or early 20s,
yeah,
he is much more, I believe, likely to cheat because he's not necessarily taking that relationship seriously. What is the benefit to that young man, to that man in his early 20s? What is the benefit of that relationship? There's two benefits, essentially, to that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
One benefit is regular sex, where you don't have to chase for sex. You don't have to go every time and meet someone new. The ease of access to sex with the same partner early on in the relationship, that's one thing. And the other thing, when a guy is in his early 20s, now this isn't universal. I'm just talking about in general from kind of what I've experienced and the people that I've known. The second is ego. A young man in his early 20s, he's really got something to prove. So he needs to prove to the world that he can attract a woman, a beautiful woman, and so that his friends and other people in society will look at him and think that he's somewhat accomplished. So those are the two things. It's access to sex on a regular basis, and it's the external validation of showing the world that you were able to get a girlfriend. That's it. Those are the two reasons.
But what in a scenario where a young man, like in their 20s, you see a lot of, couples that are, let's say, sweethearts, like, how do you call it? High school sweethearts, whatever.
You get a lot of that too.
You get a lot of that.
I'm sure there's that case too. I'm talking about from my experiences.
But is a man in their 20s when they find, let's say, somebody and they say, okay, you are going to be my wife. Like I'm going to marry you. Is he then in a different position and like view that differently, or is it still the same?
So with a man in his early 20s, if he's made that decision, first of all, he's making it from the decision of, quite frankly, like you're basically an adolescent still. Like you're still somewhat of a child, especially men.
That's true though.
We're very immature. So when men are in their, like, let's say we're talking about early 20s right now, when men are in their early 20s and they make this statement that, oh, you're going to be my wife, who they're going to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years from that is going to be a completely different person. When you met me at 38, I didn't really change a lot from 38 to 52. I evolved who I already was. Whereas you as a woman from the age of 20 when we got together to now 35.
Excuse me, I'm 34.
34. Yeah. 35 coming up. Sorry, in September. I don't know why I said 35. 34. It's funny because as I said 35, I'm like, have we been together 15 years? I thought it was 13 years. And then you correct me.
Yeah.
So, but you're a completely different person. Like yours wasn't an evolution. Yours was a revolution, right? Like you completely changed. So when a young man makes that decision in his early 20s that this is going to be my wife, he's going to go through his revolution when he's going to become a completely different person, not just an evolved version of his 20-year-old self. I think that's just kind of immature thinking that a man in his early 20s. Now, I know what people are going to say. They're going to say, yeah, but my husband, and we met and we've been together 30 years. Yes, there are those scenarios. I'm not talking about those scenarios. I'm talking about those scenarios. I don't know what the statistics are. Yeah, I would think that men in their early 20s, when they're making statements that this is going to be my wife, I think a lot of those probably won't happen. They're not ready for it. They don't understand what marriage is. I think they're talking from a position of experiencing lust and not what actual like everlasting love is that requires a lot of, patience and work and effort.
What point do you think a man can make a decision? Because you were talking about revolution and evolution. At what age do you think men get to a point where it's like, okay, I know who I am as an adult and I can make this kind of life-changing decision? Is it an age? Is it like a specific decade?
I think it's
from your observation.
I don't think it's a chronological thing. I don't think it's like a number. It's the
maybe when like the frontal cortex is fully developed. Maybe
I don't subscribe to that. I believe that for a man and for women, but we're talking about men. A man is the sum of his experiences. So when I met you, I was ready to make that decision because the experiences that I had in life when it came to relationships and life in general was sufficient enough for me to understand in a very short amount of time that you were the person that I will spend my life with. So to me, I just knew right away. Whereas I believe that if you would have met somebody closer to your own age, let's say when you were 20, and if let's say a guy would have been 24 or 25, he wouldn't have had the experience and the self-realization and the understanding of himself to be able to make that decision. Maybe he would have, but I believe, and again, I don't know the stats on this, but I believe that if a young man makes that decision, the probability of that marriage like not lasting, I would guess would be higher. I don't want to quote, I don't know, but I would guess would be higher because judging for myself, if I would have married the girl I was dating at 24, I would have been divorced.
Right.
If I would have married the girl that I was dating when I was like, 27, then 28, then 30, I would have divorced all of them.
I love that you said a man is the sum of his experiences. And I wonder if for men, especially because you mentioned like men are animals, I wonder if when the decision
I meant like sexually, they have a hard time controlling their impulses.
Right. But I wonder if when you make a decision that is fully informed, like at an age where you are fully like had the experiences to appreciate what you have in front of you in terms of a woman, is that one of the biggest kind of parts for a man to stay loyal to his wife?
It's not just having the experience of having different relationships and knowing what he wants. It's also knowing that he's going to have the ability to commit and not have sex with other women. When I met you, I knew that I could be with you and nobody else for the rest of my life.
But if you would have met me when you were younger, I feel like you wouldn't been able to make that decision. Or maybe you would have made it, but it's like it would have
If I would have met you when I was younger, it would have ended bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm happy I didn't meet you when I was younger.
Okay, so why do you think men in their 20s will cheat?
Men in their 20s will cheat because they will lack the self-control to not cheat. Because men in their 20s, they'll innocently say, hey, I'm just going out with my buddies. They'll go to a place where there's women. And they'll have the appearance of...
Just everywhere.
No, I mean, no, of course. But they're going to go to a place where there's women, that it's a place that's customary for people to meet each other.
Right.
To meet each other for like romantic or sexual encounters, to hook up, right? That was the modern way of saying it. So a man will innocently, without any kind of intention, put himself in that situation because he's in his 20s and he's naive enough to think that it's okay for me to be there. Like, I can control myself. I can go there. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm going with my single buddies and it's okay. Right. But if he goes there and he's going to have a hard time controlling himself, and so he's likely to cheat in that scenario. The second reason he's going to cheat is because if he believes that in his mind, he's like, I'm dating this person. She's my girlfriend, but I'm young and I know I'm not going to get married. I know it's going to whatever. It's kind of like a
lot of rationalizations of.
It's like she's my girlfriend, but I'm in my early 20s. I'm going to have another 10 girlfriends before I meet my wife. So if I cheat on this girl or not, first of all, A, she's not going to know. And second of all, why not? I can have this opportunity and I can have this experience, which I'm going to enjoy. There's no consequence. You know what I mean? If we had a daughter and she was like a teenager in her early 20s and she was dating a guy who also is in his early 20s, I would tell her, he's a great guy. I like him a lot, but just keep it casual.
Yeah.
Because he likely will cheat. I don't know.
That will create a lot of trust issues.
But but it shouldn't, because it's one thing to trust a man who's already kind of grounded and who understands kind of who he is. He understands the value of a partner and he's building something more meaningful versus a guy who's in his early 20s who there's no consequences to him cheating.
I remember when we were dating and my mom went to the hair salon and it was when you just proposed to me. And, everyone was talking in our town that you proposed to me and
in
stuff.
our town, you make it sound like we're
like in a small little town, Toronto.
Right.
Everyone was kind of talking in the community about it, obviously with the age gap and all the things. We were like a juicy item for a second. I remember she was getting her hair done, and the hairdresser was like, he was dating so many girls, and he had like all these casual like girlfriends, whatever. And my mom is like, good. This is great news. It means he did everything he needed to do, and it's time to settle down. I think for them, it was kind of like an alarming thing. For my mom, it's like, okay, green flag, we can move on.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I really don't have any comments on that. But those women in the hair salon should mind their own business. But yeah.
No, what are you talking about? They're essential for a well-functioning society.
They're better than the internet, right? You get more information from them. Girls would get mad at me, and I'll tell you why girls would get mad at me. This was already later on. This was already in my like early 30s.
Yeah.
Because I would go on a date with somebody, okay? And then after the date ended, I just didn't call them again.
Ghosting.
No, I went on a date and I didn't call them again.
Yeah, but you didn't tell them, hey, I'm not interested.
Why would I call someone to tell them that I'm not going to be calling them again? It just didn't make sense to me.
Because you weren't
involved in the action of not calling them again.
That's not how it works. It's the same thing when we have a conversation and then I leave mid-conversation and you're like, are we done?
Stop. No. There was no text messaging at the time. So for me, it means I would have to call someone.
Correct.
And say, hi, hey, whatever, Sandy. We went out on that date and like had a really good time, but look, we're not going out again. I'm really not interested.
Literally, yes.
Literally, no. Men typically don't do that.
Do you know that first of all, that's the problem. And I think that that's completely...
Texting is different.
It's not that it's, okay, I understand, yes, to your point, but I think that it shows your character, honestly, for you to do it. Because again, I'm giving you the example of you always get mad at me when we have a conversation and I mid-conversation, no, it's not different at all. And I mid-conversation leave. You're like, are we done talking? Like, what's going on? Literally the same thing. You went on a date with this girl.
But I'm not in a
conversation. She had the best time.
If I was on the date with her and I just got up and left without saying anything, I would agree. That's the equivalent of what you just said, of you talking to me in mid-sentence, walking out the door. When you do that sometimes, it's not like you had a date, you drove the girl home, you said goodnight, and that's it. Now,
there was no period.
Hold on.
No.
If, let's say, at the end of the date, there's like a kiss.
Yeah.
Okay, then you got to call him and tell him, listen, it's not going to work out. Because then, but in any case, you'll be an asshole in that scenario too. My point is, if there was some kind of if on the date, there was some kind of a message that I as a man would send to say that I'm interested, and then I wouldn't call, that would be wrong.
But it's not on you. You don't know how someone else interpreted it. Maybe for you. Is that not a word?
No, interpreted? Not that I know of. Maybe it is a word.
How do you say it?
Interpreted?
Interpreted. How do you know that maybe like you laughed at her joke and for her it was okay, he's interested?
I know, but it's not my responsibility.
It is.
No,
Gary, okay, I will agree to disagree. Let me tell you. I'm telling you. Wait, let me finish. I'm tell Dennis now because he's dating. I tell him, if you're not interested,
your brother.
My brother, I tell him, if you go on a date, you are not interested, let the girl know. It is the least you can do, because something that boggles my mind, especially at his ages, and you're dating already, girls.
He's already about the age that I was when I met.
Right. You need to respect people's time and the mental capacity that it takes. I want to break this nonsense of like the ghosting and the like girls spending time thinking like, is this something? Is he interested? Is he not interested? No, I'm not interested. You're amazing. Thank you so much.
To your point, I think that if I was dating probably past the time that I met you, then maybe I would have been more kind of sensitive as I got older. And I would have been more, okay, like I'm
respectful of their time.
I don't think it's a lack of respect. Just so you know, it's not as if girls are sitting there calling guys afterwards and saying, hey, just so you know, I'm not going to be going out with you again.
I don't know.
They do.
Really?
So who's going to be teaching like our 3 sons about all this stuff?
We'll need to align on it. And I think that my way is the right way.
So
no ghosting.
What I do, so hold on a second.
That's
my belief is that you always have to be nice.
Correct.
So when you're going out on a date and this and that, you have to be nice. I think the only part that you and I are potentially in disagreement is the protocol after the date.
Correct. It's the clarity. You have to be clear. No like ambiguous signs. You have to be clear. You were great. I had the best time. I don't see a future here. Best of luck. Thank you. Bye. Moving on. Don't you think that's the least you can do?
Cheating comes if a man feels that he's under a woman's thumb.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's going to have it. So I think that's a good takeaway for women. that if you're on top of your man all the time and you're telling him what to do, how to do, if you're nagging him, yeah, you're increasing that probability of him cheating.
I think it also applies to kids. I think honestly, in general, this control is just a very unrealistic way to lead and to foster like a good environment, if it's with your children or with your husband, your spouse, whatever it is. But again, that's something that's been kind of accepted as a norm in a relationship. I 100% agree. I call it the golden cage, right? It's like my biggest fear is to feel like I'm caged, even if from the outside everything looks amazing and I have all the things I have.
Yeah.
But if I feel trapped in my own relationship, that's the scariest thing. There may be a lot of studies around it and a lot of like explanations of all the things, but it comes down to really being able to trust your partner. And I think that comes also from the beginning. I think that foundation in a relationship needs to be established from the beginning. To your point, when we start dating, from the get-go, I didn't give you any reasons to not trust me. And the same thing with you. And I think that's why it was kind of easier to build on top of that. But also, I have to say that if, God forbid, at some point in our marriage, I don't know, in 20 years, you feel dissatisfied or whatever, I would expect you, based on the nature of a relationship, to come and talk to me.
So when I'm 72 years old, I'll come and talk to you.
Come talk to me. But that communication aspect is so important as well. And I think that doesn't happen a lot of the times because it's like people don't want to hurt each other's feelings. They don't want to kind of rock the boat, right? And they make that bad decision of like, oh, I do something no one will know. But it's just kind of the beginning of the end.
The best way not to cheat isn't necessarily by developing the discipline to not cheat. I think the best way to not cheat is developing a relationship that is so satisfying for both partners that you won't even want to.
Exactly.
You got to understand something. Men who don't cheat, they won't go to a place that would even tempt them.
Right.
Not because I love my wife so much, I'm so strong, I could go and have all of this around and I won't cheat. No, because if you're satisfied, you won't want to go to that stupid place. Discipline, not to cheat on your spouse, you're just treating the symptom. Treating the disease is being in a relationship that's so satisfying because you're putting so much effort into it that you don't even want to be in a place that would tempt you to. You just don't even put yourself in the situation. You have no reason to go.
Yes. And I think looking at it from that perspective feels more empowering because at some point in our conversation, when you were going about how cheating is so natural for men and they need to reproduce and all that,
it's not like, natural. That's just the way we're wired.
Yeah. But when I'm listening to that, I was thinking to myself, okay, well, we're playing a losing game. You know what I mean? Because you're fighting nature here. But to your point, like I love what you just said because it's, again, not thinking about how I prevent my spouse not to cheat on me. It's more on, and then again comes the control, I think, into that play, but rather really focus on how can I develop myself to be, to make my husband feel like I'm the prize, like you
Absolutely.
Want to be around me. This is a relationship you want to keep. You know what I mean? And put effort into that.
It's a beautiful flywheel. Like it's a beautiful circle, right? It's this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy where I believe that the key to a happy marriage and a long-lasting marriage, which results in happy and productive children, which results in kind of success and happiness and all of the positive things life will bring generationally, it comes down to the two people in a marriage at any given time. And those two people, their responsibility, if they want to have generations of thriving human beings, is to constantly be working on themselves within that marriage, and within the marriage, and most importantly, separately.
Yeah.
Right. So by you going out and working on yourself, I see that, and I'm more motivated to work on myself. I work more on myself. You see that, you're more motivated to work on yourself.
Yeah.
When we have the physical, the emotional, the mental, we keep the business, the financial, the spiritual, our relationship with our kids. When you and I work on that together, we become not only stronger as a family, we become more attracted to each other.
Yeah.
As we're more attracted to each other, our sex life continues to evolve and improve. Our sex life continues to evolve and improve. It goes back and it goes into those things. Now I want to be even more fit. I want to be even, more engaging. And you want to continue to build and build and build yourselves as individuals and come together. And then your kids see that. Your kids, that pours over into their relationships because they have that attitude and they have that mentality. So it's this beautiful ecosystem that people can build. And you said something to me about your mother growing up, that you never felt that you were poor. In reality, you were. You may have been poor among a lot of other poor people in your immigrant story, but one thing you told me is you never felt poor. You were always well-dressed. Your mother was always well-dressed.
Yeah.
You always celebrated life. You always had a lot of people around. Everybody was always happy. So I really credit your mother for that. I had a much different experience. I mean, my family was fucking miserable all the time.
Yeah.
But I'd love to understand kind of more of your mindset growing up in that and how that's affected you.
You know, I remember clearly certain moments where I knew we weren't necessarily okay, but again, she shielded it from me. And it was mainly the early years when we just moved to Israel, because it was only her and I. Because my stepfather, Boris's dad, came into the picture. I was around 6 years old or something. So before that, I do remember kind of crowdfunding for taxis or food, but it was a group of these.
What does that mean, crowdfunding for taxis?
It was because it was a group of single mothers that came. A lot of them came from Russia.
Yeah.
We all became a community. So it was...
No, but can you specifically explain what is crowdfunding for taxis?
Like, my mother didn't have money for a taxi. Her friend got her salary this week.
Yeah.
So they would, like, among the 10 of them, will just, like, throw whatever each of them had, and then it would feed everybody or take care of, like, transportation for everybody. It was very much like that. That's why my mother's a big community person. It's very difficult to understand how much she gives without understanding those experiences that she had.
It's interesting that you're saying that to me now, because it always felt quite honestly, very strange and foreign to me, the way your mom operates financially, because I would see this kind of thing and I would say, quite frankly, why are you giving this person money?
Yeah.
When I would kind of hear about it, mostly I wouldn't hear about it, but when I did hear about it, and I remember you and I talking afterwards and say, why would your mom do this? And I never really understood, but now I get it. There's a story that I've only told in secret, and I don't know if I want to. Do you know the story?
I don't know.
Right when we got together, I was feeling very confident because I had sold a piece of my company, and it was a meaningful amount of money that it was life-changing from the life, that I had before.
Yeah.
Right? It put us in a situation where we were very good and safe.
Yeah.
But there was a promise of way more. More to the point where nobody would have to work again. We weren't married yet. We were just engaged.
Yeah.
And so what happened was, during that period of time and before the wedding, it fell apart. The business that I was in back then, the whole industry fell apart. And so although we were good, we weren't like done. We weren't ready for retirement that we could live off of just interest in doing nothing.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember coming to you and telling you, and I remember specifically, and this was the conversation that we had, that I said to you, look, you and I met, and I was really flying high at this time because I made this deal knowing that this other amount was going to come in. And then I said to you, this other amount's not coming in. It's not happening. But I feel like I kind of got together with you under the premise that this was happening. Now it's not. So things are going to be different. Like, we're not broke, but we're not what I thought we would be. If you want to call it off, then I want you to know that I'm okay with it. I'll never tell anybody the reason why. I'll never say a word, but I'll understand, because I don't want you to come in under these pretenses, because I don't want you to feel like I sold you this lie.
Yeah.
And I remember you wouldn't even let me finish my sentence. And I remember you just said, never say that shit to me again. And I remember you hugged me. And it's interesting because at that moment, somebody took a picture of us. And I remember that moment, and I knew that everything's going to be okay because I didn't fuck up on the person that I chose. And despite the good fortune I had in the first deal and the bad luck I had on not being able to close the second deal, what I had with you was just far more priceless, because I found that person that no matter what's going to happen, that person's with me. And we're going to figure it out together.
I'm really happy that second deal never happened. I don't think we would have been together.
Really? Why?
It's pretty straightforward kind of view of having money. And I think we've been coming to this like middle ground, you and I, about it, where there is a thing as enough. And you want to have enough where you obviously have security, but you also want to have the ambition and the will and to drive to continue building yourself and learning about yourself and just being in that building mode, because that's it. This is what we're doing. You know what I mean? This is what we're here for. I just feel like to land on so much money in the beginning of our relationship would have taken us to places and would have maybe kind of corrupted us a little bit.
I feel like, as much as I'm not a religious person, I believe in God, and I feel it was like God's plan, because it was, and we've since built on our wealth since this was back in 2012. It was enough that we were okay, but I still had that fire.
Yeah.
That I was like, we could have in theory lived the rest of our lives without having to work again. But it wouldn't be the life that you and I would have been okay with.
No.
Not from the ability to have experiences and to do the things that we wanted to do.
I agree. And I think that we've learned so much about each other and ourselves in the, in the years that we've been building Valeria Inc. and all the adventures that it took us to. And like, not once in my life did I look back being like, what if you'd have closed that deal? Not even once. I actually never thought about it.
The only reason I didn't think about it because it's like a waste of time. Why would I think about something that could have happened that didn't happen? It won't change that outcome. It's not going to make us travel back in time and change it. So I don't even think about it. What's the point?
I saw this TikTok this morning, which was interesting timing wise, of this girl. She was crying in the video and she's like, I'm asking for a friend. Is it normal that a wife need to ask for permission to spend money on anything? Like, she's obviously talking about herself because she's literally in tears. And she's like, is this normal? Like, every little thing you have to beg for him to approve.
Yeah, I think that's normal, but it's just not the way we function.
I don't think that's normal at all.
It may not be. When you say normal, how do you define normal? It may not be correct by our opinion of how we look at it from a moral perspective.
Yeah.
But it's probably normal in terms of the percentage of couples who the wife has to get permission from her. Yeah.
I don't live in that world.
I think that, look, you and I don't live in that world. I'm saying that if you look at probably the average person, let's say in North America or even in the world in kind of like developed countries, probably the man makes more money. And it's not, I'm not making a sexist comment.
America,
I'm saying statistically.
Yeah,
probably.
No, statistically, it's actually now both people make money in a household.
Fair, but you're probably looking at people who have an average income. But then if you look at people, which is probably going to be a very large percentage of people in the United States who make far below average income, I would probably guess that the man is going to make more money because the man will usually be like a tradesperson. Right. Mm-hmm. And then not usually, but as an example.
Yeah.
And then the woman will be some kind of like an administrator. Right. Mm-hmm. And these are in kind of lower income families. Mm-hmm. So in a situation like that, I think the woman is asking the husband because he's likely making somewhat more money. Maybe he's making 70% of the household income, if I had to guess. But then he's also in charge of the money. He's also in charge of making
decisions. Yeah.
Not decisions, but making ends meet.
Right. What I'm saying is that video for me, because obviously it triggered a lot of people.
That video was also made to be sensational.
It made to be sensational. There's a lot of context that's missing because what does that even mean? Like how, to your point, you trust my kind of common sense when it comes to spending. You don't know how she behaves.
But you trust mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if she's a maniac and she's going out and buying $50,000 handbags once a week, then probably her husband probably said to her, listen, you got to start asking me before you make a decision, because she's proven herself. And I'm just kind of guessing as being somebody who's irresponsible when it comes to money.
Right. But that money can also be a very much a matter of control, which I've seen a lot as well. It's a way to control in the relationship, in the household.
That's different.
That's a whole other story.
I think men who do that are just scumbags, but that's a different.
Yeah.
That's a different.
And I don't think that the way we operate changed much since, we started making money in a different way. Because before, obviously, the way we started is you were making money, I wasn't making money. And then when we started Valeria Inc. and I started building kind of this career and making money, I don't think much changed.
But I don't look at it as you making money.
No,
I don't look at it as
I'm making money as well. So you're not the only.
You're not. I don't look at it that way.
I know, because you look at it like we are making money.
No, I just look at it. There's money that comes in. You and me are one.
Yeah.
So I don't look at it like, I'll never make the statement, I'm making money. I made money doing this. You make the statement, I make money. That's fine. I don't want to make it seem like I'm demeaning you, but sure, if you want to.
We spoke about the language.
But to me, no, that's when it comes to you claiming the children, or like I'm a stepdad. That's a different conversation where you're always saying, my kids, they're our kids. How do you say my kids? Anyways, but then I noticed all women do that stupid thing where they always refer to the kids as my kid. You were interviewing Emily DiDonato in New York on the podcast, and she was also my kids.
Because we're not talking about you guys at all.
It doesn't matter. It's our kids. It's not.
But he's not in the room.
You weren't the kids aren't a product of immaculate conception. The kids aren't Jesus. They're not. They're just kids that I made with you. Anyways. My point is coming back to the topic of money.
Yeah.
That's why if you want to say that and if it makes you feel good, cool. But in my mind,
yeah,
whether what I'm thinking is reality or not, there is no your money, my money. That's the way I see it. I don't see this delineation between married people. But a lot of married people do. A lot of married people are like, you make your money, I make my money. And I don't see the point.
Best money you've ever spent.
I was going to say your engagement ring, but that was actually pretty stupid.
I agree.
It's like, I haven't seen you wear it in forever. Not your wedding band.
Yeah, I know. The wedding ring. I know.
We should get rid of it. Do you want to get rid of it? Who are we going to give it to?
No, I think it's a family heirloom.
To who?
You have 3 sons.
And none of them will wear an engagement ring. You think we're going to give your engagement ring to one of the girls that they marry?
Yeah, it would be my favorite one.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Can you imagine? It's
no chance. 3
of them bringing someone home and I'm like, I choose you.
Yeah, there'll be no choosing. I'm letting you know now. That's when you and I are going to have our first fight about material items. No daughter-in-law is getting your engagement ring. I can tell you.
I actually agree. I don't know what's the best money I've ever spent. I feel like I make a really great money decision every week when I like prioritize myself. When I go to like paddle or do Pilates or go for facial, every time I leave, I'm like, this is the best money I've ever spent.
Right. If we look at it strictly from like a financial return perspective on a business, it was probably like the $5,000 we spent on your nutrition diploma.
Amen. Wait, that's actually
5,000 Canadian. This was like 3,500 US. So based off of that, you became a content creator because that inspired you, and you're like, okay, like
I have knowledge to spread.
You just got this diploma, and you're like, okay, you were making your like two ingredient like healthy fruit roll-ups for the kids and your brownies and stuff, and that was the
Gary,
of it all.
That's a good
that's a great investment. When I proposed to you, and after a week after I met you, and I already knew you were going to be my wife, it never crossed my mind, and I've said this many times, it never crossed my mind what you would do for a living. It never crossed my mind like that you would even work. I just didn't think about it. It's not like I said, she doesn't have to work in my mind. Yeah. It's just like, it didn't cross my mind. Like the word you and work, it didn't cross. I just didn't even think that at all. It didn't cross my mind. And at one point, I remember you came to me when I was also like knee deep in my startups, and I was like trying to figure shit out. And you said, hey, like I'm thinking I should go to school. And I remember saying, you want to go to school? And you're like, yeah, because you got your high school, right? You got your high school.
I just finished high school.
You finished high school, right? And I was just like, I said, if you're going to go to school, you get an MBA. Because my logic was, get a business undergrad.
Yeah.
And then get an MBA, because I'm always going to be doing some kind of businesses. And I don't have a formal education in business. I have a degree in geology. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, if you get a formal education in business, then that would be great, because you're also a lot younger than me. You're going to bring in kind of these modern, actual ways that people run businesses, not like this way to run businesses like I've been doing my whole life, right? Except now, actually, Rachel's cleaned up a lot of shit. But my point is that I said to you, like, you should go and do an MBA because that's the most practical thing. And you're like, I really don't want to do that. And I was just like, okay, then do whatever you want. Like, why are you even asking me? I don't know. Do whatever you feel you want to do. And I remember you saying, I'm going to go and get a diploma or a degree in nutrition. And I was like, okay, like, how much is it? And you're like, $5,000. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, enjoy. And I remember driving you, and it wasn't like, okay, I just want to, not to like shit on your diploma. I'm not trying to shit on your diploma, but it wasn't like it was some like.
No, it was definitely not like an educational institution.
No. It was like the second floor out of a strip mall where there was like a $5 Chinese buffet on the first floor.
Yeah.
It reminds me of my first startup office. So that's where you got your.
Started from the bottom.
That's where you got your. Yeah. That's where you got your nutrition diploma. So that's the best return. But it's interesting. I just want to just say something really quick about Creator Method. We have hundreds of now creators who are part of our community, and when I talk to them, a lot of the times, they tell me, I don't feel like I come from nothing. I don't have a formal education. It's not possible. I can't do anything. And I'm like, let me tell you. I said, let me tell you. And I tell them the story about your nutrition school and like the strip mall and the $5 Chinese buffet. And I'm like, I assure you, like, you can do it. You've got a lot. And the funny thing is the people who tell me this, they're so accomplished. They've done such amazing things, or they have such educations. And
you know what?
It shocks me.
I wish that there was a chip that could have been inserted back in the day when I just started and just would have recorded my thought process about everything, about.
Just tell me your thought.
About just like money and about work ethic and about like anything at all. I had no idea. Like, I'm looking today at people, they're 26, 27. Everyone feels so advanced. I was clueless. I was just like,
You and I are just a couple of idiots who made it.
we're just like literally like hillbillies, just like, okay, let's see.
I know, Valeria, you have to understand. You have to, babe.
What's the worst that can happen?
You have to remember where we came from.
Yeah.
You came from like, first of all, you came from like a part of Russia that like people don't even go to visit. Like, you came from a very small town, and then you grew up in like, and also a small town in Israel. And under circumstances where your mom, she was a single mom until she met
I know.
dad.
But that's why for me, I walk around and I feel like I live in La La Land. When we dropped off the kids at the camp, I was just looking around. I felt like I'm 12 years old again, sitting in Israel in my little room, scouring MySpace, trying to find like pictures of American, kids go to camps, because they used to like share all these images, and you see like pictures of the buses, like all of that. It was like watching a movie. And all of a sudden I'm like in this parking lot dropping the kids off to a sleepaway camp, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like in the movies that I used to watch. It's like, I'm here now.
But you're not here as a camper. You're here giving your kids to the camp.
No, but
and now our kids are out there eating steaks in the wilderness in these luxury cabins with air conditioning, having the time of their life.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't miss my newest episode right here. And if you're listening to the podcast on Apple or Spotify, please go and leave a review with your biggest takeaway. I love reading your thoughts. They inspire me. So if you have any suggestions for guests or topics, you can leave them in the comment section. And always, always remember, you are not alone.